If you are like me, you are probably a big fan of Costco. You know, when Costco first came to our small town, I wasn't so sure about it, but I gave it a try, and I have to admit that the quality of the product seems to be quite high. The facility is very nice. I like the nice wide aisles. Everybody who works there seems to be very happy and helpful. I've found it a really nice place to shop. Definitely one of the best places to fill up your tank with gas, and I highly recommend it to anybody. But the one pitfall about Costco is that they make you buy a pretty large amount of the item that you're buying, and because you're buying a larger amount, you get it at a better price. And that's exactly what's going on with Costco Gold. So that's what we're talking about here today. If you are new to the channel, my name is White Cross. You can call me White, you can call me Dub C. And we talk about precious metals and rare coins, but this proliferation recently, and I understand that Costco has sold over $100 million worth of gold bars and coins recently. It's a really interesting phenomenon, but it's one that really requires a little bit of thought. And that's my biggest concern about this. So if you are new to the channel, thank you for being with me here today. If you're one of my returning subscribers, I really appreciate you being with me here today. As always, this video is really kind of designed to ask some of the questions about Costco Gold. There are some pitfalls, there are some benefits, and I want to arm you with that knowledge so that you're making an informed decision, because this is really not something you should enter into lightly, and I'm going to kind of spell out exactly why that is. I have been buying and selling precious metals and rare coins for the last 30 or 40 years, really closer to 50 years now, and I make an effort to make videos that help inform your decisions without trying to direct your decisions. It's important to me that you're receiving the information that you need so that you can make your own decision about something. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not trying to offer financial advice. I'm simply trying to share some of my experience with you. So if you are new to the channel, I usually begin my videos with a couple of definitions that we can work back into the subject matter of this subject matter, Costco Gold. A couple of those definitions. The first one is called an assay card. And an assay card is just this rigid plastic holder that gold bars and gold bullion sometimes is sealed in. Now, these assay cards do have some benefits. Most modern bullion pieces have very shiny reflective surfaces on them. You kind of get that idea there. See that reflective surface? Those surfaces are very easy to mar. You can scratch them. You can get hairlines on them. You can get fingerprints on them. Those surfaces we would call proof-like in the coin field. And gold is already a very, very soft metal relative to other metals. So it does pick up those fingerprints. It does pick up those little tiny, minute hairline scratches much easier than a lot of things you might expect. And those proof surfaces don't do anything to help hide those scratches. In fact, they actually kind of highlight them. So these assay cards do a nice job of protecting those surfaces. Assay cards, a rigid plastic holder that some pieces of modern bullion come in. And as an aside, if you've never seen one of these before, the intent is that you do in fact keep that coin or bar sealed within that assay card. It's not just the packaging that it came in, like a blister pack. If you're buying a set of refrigerator magnets, you're supposed to take them out of that package. You're actually supposed to leave your bullion in this assay card. That's the tradition, that's the standard, that's the common thinking, is that you leave it within those assay cards. So the other subject that I want to discuss is something we talk about often on this channel, and that is the idea of a premium. If you are new to the world of precious metals, if you are new to the world of gold in particular, gold bullion pieces and silver bullion pieces and platinum silver bullion pieces are often sold at a premium. So we'll take a look at the theoretical price of gold right now. And I'm fond of using the $2,000 price. Gold can be higher than that today. When you're watching this video, it can be lower than that today. So we're just using an illustration of $2,000 an ounce. It's not necessarily what gold is right now, but it helps to with these illustrations. So you could walk into a gold bullion dealer, or you could go to Costco, and you wouldn't be able to buy this gold ounce for $2,000. You would have to pay a premium. That premium is the amount over and above the value of the gold or silver or platinum. And it helps cover the cost of keeping the lights on, paying the bills, paying the employees, making a profit. You can't expect these retailers to sell a commodity, and that's what gold is, a globally traded commodity, for the price of the gold. They have to make a profit on it too, just as the people that manufactured the gold product need to make a profit on it from their end. So these premiums get added into what you're paying for it. So if gold is trading at $2,000 an ounce, remember that's just an illustration, you may expect to pay $2,050 for an ounce of gold. You may pay $2,100. You may pay $2,200. It really depends on where you are and what type of gold, what form the gold comes in. So assay cards, these rigid plastic holders, premium, the amount that you have to pay over and above the value of the gold. Pretty easy concepts, but it's important to at least have that basic understanding when we're talking about Costco gold. So there are some benefits to buying gold from Costco. Costco is a known quantity. They are a known retailer. Chances are you are a member if you're even talking about this, because you have to be a member of Costco to be able to buy gold from Costco. Costco is a members only store. You have to pay an annual fee. It's not a ton of money, but you do have to be a member in order to buy these gold bars from Costco. You must be a member. But Costco is a known quantity. They are a high quality retailer with a great reputation. They pay their employees well. They have a great selection. They have nice facilities, and they kind of know what they're doing when it comes to buying and selling things. They are good at it. So a known quantity and a high quality retailer. That's the first benefit. The second benefit is that Costco's pricing seems to be quite competitive. And we're used to that. If you buy from Costco all the time, you know that they often have the best price on pieces, whatever it is that you're buying, be it a cereal for your morning breakfast or a bottle of olive oil or a bouquet of flowers or a hoodie. Their prices are always quite low, and they seem to be a really good deal almost all of the time. The problem, once again, is that you often have to buy a higher quantity than you might be expecting, and that's one of the downfalls that we're going to talk about a little bit later. Costco also appears to be selling very high quality gold. And that's important. I talk a lot about integrity on this channel, and your precious metals need to have integrity. You have to trust they are what they say they are, and ultimately, when it comes time to sell, we call that your eventual exit strategy. Your pieces need to have integrity because you want to know that the person that's buying them from you is going to recognize their quality and are going to pay you what they are worth. And that's another nice feature about what Costco is doing here. Now, the pieces that I've seen offered by Costco come from at least 3 sources. The first one is PAMP. PAMP is a Swiss refinery with a very good reputation. PAMP has been around for decades. Their quality of merchandise is really top-notch. It says something really good about Costco that they chose to offer PAMP products, high-quality products recognized all throughout the industry. The second one that I've seen is a company called the Rand Corporation. Rand is a South African company, and if the name sounds kind of familiar, these are Kruger Rands. These are one of the oldest 1 troy ounce bullion vehicles, and we'll talk about troy in just a moment, that have ever been offered. These were offered originally in 1967, so they have been one of the most popular gold buying vehicles for over half a century. Rand has a really solid reputation, and their products are recognized around the world for being a very high degree of integrity. So PAMP, Rand Corporation, and the other one I wanted to talk about is the Canadian Mint, the Royal Canadian Mint. They offer these coins that are called maples. Now, they offer a full troy ounce version of the maple, and I'll show a picture of it here. This is a 1/10 troy ounce maple, so it is 1/10 of that amount of gold. A very high reputation, a very high quality product, again, known and trusted around the world throughout the precious metals industries. Everybody knows what Canadian maple leaves are. That's what these are called. They have a really, really good reputation. So the three pieces that I see Costco selling, the Pamp Swiss bar, the Rand Corporation bar, and the Canadian maples, all very high quality products that you would expect from a quality retailer like Costco. So the positives: known retailer that knows what they're doing, their pricing is competitive, and they are offering very good products. Those are really wonderful benefits to buying Costco Gold. But there are some negatives to buying Costco Gold, and if you are unfamiliar with precious metals, they might not occur to you on the outset. And that's why I wanted to discuss them with you here, and hopefully that's why you're watching this video today. So one of the most important negatives that I see with Costco offering these gold bars is that they don't offer fractions of a troy ounce. Precious metals are weighed primarily in two different systems, and they mean the same thing. It's the same amount of precious metal regardless of what scale you're using. But they are measured in troy ounces, and a troy ounce is a very old system of measuring precious metals primarily. Gold, silver, platinum, all measured in troy ounces. Or you can have these precious metals weighed in grams. And as a comparison, a troy ounce is 31.1 grams versus the ounce that you might be more familiar with, that flour or chocolate is weighed in. Those are called avoirdupois or avoirdupois ounces. We don't usually use that term avoirdupois because we're just so used to it being ubiquitous. Everybody knows what an ounce of chocolate is. Everybody knows what an ounce of flour is. Technically, that's an avoirdupois ounce. And those ounces only contain 28.34 grams. So you can see troy ounce at 31.1, avoirdupois at 28.34. Those troy ounces are heavier, significantly heavier. And that's an important thing for you to remember. But the reason we're talking about this is that gold vehicles, gold bullion products, especially modern gold vehicles, often come in full troy ounce and fractions of a troy ounce. The most standard thing that you will see are those 1 ounce coins, kind of like the 1 ounce maple leaf we showed earlier. But the maple also comes in 1/4 of a troy ounce, 1/2 of a troy ounce, and these smaller 1/10 of a troy ounce. Why does that matter? There are benefits to buying larger quantities all at once. It's that Costco philosophy, right? The more you buy, the better price you can get. And that's where the term premium comes in. So our theoretical $2,000 per ounce gold, a 1 troy ounce vehicle that you're buying from Costco would probably cost around $2,050 or $2,070. In our illustration, that $50 or that $70 is the premium that we talked about earlier. That's how Costco makes their money. They can't sell something for the same amount that they paid for it and expect to keep the lights on. When you're buying these smaller fractional pieces, the 1/2 ounce, the 1/4 ounce, the 1/10 ounce, the premiums on those tend to be larger per unit, and they can be more expensive per ounce. Let me back up and just rephrase that. The 1 ounce gold version tends to have a larger amount per unit. The smaller ones may have a smaller premium per unit, but when you combine those to equal a troy ounce, that premium is usually greater. Let me give you an illustration. A 1 ounce gold maple that you're buying at Costco may, again, sell for $20,050 if gold is that theoretical $2,000 per ounce range. But if you were to buy 4 1/4 ounce gold maples, they may cost you $30 or $40 each over and above the value of the gold contained within. Now you multiply that by 4 because there are 4 1/4 ounce maples compared to 1 troy ounce maple. And at $30 a piece, you can see that you're paying a $120 premium per ounce for those smaller gold coins versus that $50 or $70 per ounce premium on the 1 single troy ounce coin. So if that makes sense to you, you're paying a smaller amount with the smaller coins usually, But by the time you add enough of those together to make the full troy ounce, whether it's 2/2, 4/4, or 10 ounce vehicles, you usually wind up paying substantially more. The premiums are higher on those smaller pieces. Now, that may not sound like a benefit, but it is when you think about it in terms of things like divisibility and dollar cost averaging. And that's what I wanted to touch on with these potential negatives to these gold coins and bars that Costco is selling. Dollar cost averaging is a really simple theory that if you are investing small amounts on a recurring basis over time, then you are exposing yourself to lower prices if the value of gold happened to drop. And you're also limiting your exposure if the price of gold happens to go up. So, for example, let's say that you are investing $100 every week in buying gold. In 1 week, gold is $2,000 an ounce, and you buy a set amount of gold at $2,000 an ounce. The next week, gold goes up to $2,300 an ounce. You're not buying as much gold because the value of gold has gone up in value, but you're still only limiting yourself to that $100 purchase. Next week, the value of gold drops down to $1,500 an ounce. Now you can capture that lower gold price because you're going to make that steady $100 increment purchase, and you're able to buy at that $1,500 an ounce. And overall, the idea, the theory at least, is that you're going to be limiting your exposure when gold is high, but you're still able to capture gold when the price drops. And that's because gold fluctuates in price hour to hour, minute to minute, week to week, day to day, month to year. Gold is constantly going up and down. That dollar cost averaging is important because Costco only seems to be offering these 1 full troy ounce vehicles. So if you happen to buy gold when gold is $2,000 an ounce, and the next day the value of gold drops to $1,500 an ounce, you're suddenly in a position where you bought every single gram of gold contained within that bar at the full $2,000 price, when if you had just waited 1 day, you would have been able to buy it at a significant discount. That illustrates the idea of dollar cost averaging. And unless you're a very wealthy person, you're probably not dollar cost averaging by spending $2,000 at a time buying full ounce increments. So the premiums on these smaller pieces, like these 10th maples or these 1/4 ounce American eagles, per coin can be slightly less than they are on these full ounce vehicles, like this full troy ounce Krugerrand. And that may be a little bit higher when you're comparing apples to apples, 1 troy ounce in full sizes versus 1 troy ounce in 1/4 ounce sizes. But at least these offer you the availability of that dollar cost averaging strategy. Now, if that sounds too complicated, look at it from the reverse and maybe you'll get a better idea. And that's the idea of divisibility. That's another negative to buying these. If you're not familiar with buying precious metals and you don't have a very large budget, but you go ahead and bite the bullet and you buy an entire 1 troy ounce vehicle from Costco, and the next week your engine blows, and all of a sudden you need to access $1,000 to buy a new engine. Well, you're unfortunately out of luck when you have to sell that gold bar, because you have to sell the entire amount. If you bought it at our theoretical $2,000 an ounce price, you have to sell that entire ounce of gold just to access the $1,000 that you need for your engine. Whereas if you had 4 1/4 troy ounce vehicles, you could just sell the few pieces that you needed that equal that $1,000. And you don't have to sell the pieces that you didn't need to access. You can retain the amount that you paid for these without selling them at a loss. There's that divisibility, kind of the opposite side of the dollar cost averaging strategy. If all you have is a full 1/4 or a full troy ounce of gold, you have to sell the entire thing. You can't sell half of it. You can't sell a 1/4 of it. You have to sell all of it. Now, what happens if gold has dropped in value since you bought that? Let's say gold is only $1,500 an ounce. You've got to sell every single gram of that bar at a loss, even the grams of gold that you didn't really need to sell. So divisibility is an important factor that you can't really take advantage of unless you've got so much money that you're buying tens or hundreds of these 1 troy ounce gold bars at a time. For most of us, we need that divisibility if we ever expect to access the cash contained within our gold. Divisibility, a very important thing. Costco also doesn't allow refunds. Now, if you're used to buying things at Costco, if you buy a pair of jeans or a pair of shoes and they're the wrong size, you can take them back, and Costco's customer service is usually very easy to deal with. One of the things that I like about Costco. Not so with these gold things that you're purchasing from Costco. You can't return these. These are non-refundable. And the reason why is because gold is a globally traded commodity whose price differs from second to second around the world. So if you buy this at our theoretical $2,000 an ounce, and the next day gold drops to $1,800 an ounce, you can't take it back. You are stuck with that full troy ounce that you bought at $2,000. It's important to understand Costco does not accept returns on these gold bullion products. Costco also is not a two-way market maker. Now, I don't want to get too complex on this, but Costco will gladly sell you your gold at that $2,000 price, theoretical price that we've talked about. What if gold goes up to $2,300 an ounce next week? Costco won't buy that gold back from you. They have no interest in making a two-way market. They'll sell it to you, but they're not going to buy it from you. You're going to have to find somebody else to buy it from you if you decide it's the right time for you to sell. That person could be a qualified online retailer. It could be an online auction site, for example, eBay, or it could be preferably a local dealer who works and buys and sells precious metals, and they will have some experience that will help them, and they are also right there in your hometown. Now, that is one of the things that I think you should consider before buying something from a giant like Costco. I have a fond belief that Costco is a quality retailer. As I've said, I think they're selling really good quality products, but you probably have a dealer locally who deals with these kinds of things all the time, and they will buy from you. And if they're going to buy from you, maybe they should be the person that's selling to you as well. Just something to think about. So no two-way market from Costco. And finally, the important thing to realize, especially if you are new to the world of precious metals, is that gold fluctuates. I've talked about that a few times here. Gold fluctuates second to second, minute to minute, hour to hour, around the globe, 24 hours a day. So if you think that you're buying gold at $2,000 an ounce and it's guaranteed to go up, you're wrong. There are no guarantees. This is a globally traded commodity. Gold, as recently as September of 2022, so only going back about a year from when I'm shooting this video, gold was as little as $1,700 an ounce. So just within the last year and a couple months, gold has been significantly less than it is now. Gold just recently hit an all-time high. So you are buying a globally traded commodity at a time when it is at its highest it's ever been. But understand that gold fluctuates, and it is every bit as likely that gold is going to go down in value as it is going to go up in value. If you are new to the world of commodities, we love having you here. I encourage you to think about these things and look at some of the other videos on my channel. Understand that gold is a globally traded commodity, and there are no guarantees ever that gold is going to go up in value from where you're buying it. Especially consider that gold is at an all-time high. Does that sound like the best time to be buying gold? Very important thing to consider. And last is really a personal preference of mine, and I've talked about this on multiple occasions, and it's not something that everybody agrees with. It's not something that you may agree with. But I personally don't like bullion in assay cards. And I've done a 2-video series on this, and I'll put the link down below if you'd like to look at it closer. But really briefly, without going into even too much detail, is that assay cards like this, and this is a PAMP assay card with a gold coin sealed within, very similar to those Canadian maple assay cards, they don't allow you to take really good measurements of your gold. Now, gold is counterfeited often, and assay cards are counterfeited often. And these don't allow you to take a diameter, you can't do a thickness, you can't do a length and width of a gold bar. It's difficult to see the edges of the gold bar, and it's very difficult to test the gold when it comes to things like weight. You can't even put this on a scale and expect it to weigh the amount that it's supposed to weigh, because the assay card has significant weight in and of itself. So it's difficult to test, it's difficult to verify, it's difficult to weigh, among many, many other reasons. The reasons why I don't like assay cards. Counterfeiters know all of this, and counterfeiters often counterfeit their modern products in beautiful, sexy, attractive assay cards just like this, just like the pant bars come in from Costco, just like those Rand bars that they come in from Costco. It's very difficult for you, especially if you're not familiar with precious metals, to know whether or not something is genuine. Now, I do believe everything that Costco is selling is authentic. It is absolutely 100% authentic, but it's not you I'm trying to convince. On this channel, we talk a lot about your exit strategy, and my concern is when you go to sell these products, if the buyer that you're selling them to also doesn't care for assay cards, what are they supposed to do? They have to trust that you bought them when you said you did. They have to trust that you know what you're talking about. They have to trust that you actually bought them from Costco. They have to trust that the gold contained within is authentic. And the only other option that they have is to rip these things out of the assay cards and do the tests on them that they may need to do to feel that integrity that we talked about earlier is present. So my argument is, why did you buy something in an assay card to begin with? I would rather see you find verifiable pieces right now and familiarize yourself with how you can verify them, and don't buy them in those assay cards. Again, personal preference. This is something that I talk about often on the channel. It may not be your experience, but I really can't recommend gold bars to almost anybody under any circumstances. And I think that there are a lot of valid reasons to avoid them. So we talked about a lot of the positives of buying from Costco. A known retailer, pricing is competitive because you're buying a larger quantity. And they are dealing in very high quality, respectable products. That's the PAMP, the Rand, and the Canadian Maples. As far as I know, they may have other items out there. Those are the only ones that I've seen so far. Some of the negatives: only 1 full troy ounce increments. Remember, you're limiting yourself with dollar cost averaging. You're limiting yourself when it comes to divisibility, when it comes time to sell these, if you ever need to sell them to access that cash. Costco doesn't allow returns on these. Costco doesn't make a two-way market. They're not going to buy them in the future if the price of gold goes up or the price of gold drops and you need to sell. You can't go back to Costco and look for it. You need to find somebody else who will buy them from you. Gold fluctuates in value. Just because gold is up right now is no guarantee at all that gold is going to stay up in value in the future. So you must go into this with your eyes open, understanding that gold is every bit as likely to drop in value in the future as it is to go up in value in the future. You must understand that if you're making these purchases. And then finally, my own personal preference. I don't like assay cards. I don't buy them. I've got a few pieces that I bought many, many years ago that I keep just for illustration, but they are not my favorite. I don't recommend them. I haven't recommended them for years. Your own experience may be entirely different, but those are my thoughts. Costco gold, it might be a little bit more complicated than you were thinking. And I get it. You walk in there and you see these gold bars and they're sealed in these assay cards and they're beautiful and they're sexy and they're attractive. They're supposed to be. That's why they do that. But they may not be the right choice for you. So think about the things that we've talked about. Think about the positives and the negatives. Feel free to ask a question down below. If you are asking a question and there are other questions ahead of yours down below, scroll through those first to see if I've already addressed those, because it's very possible that the people that are asking the questions that you're asking have already asked that questions. Everybody is going to have these similar questions and they need to know these answers. Take your time, do a little bit of research first, take a deep breath. And then if you really feel that these are right for you, Costco is a great retailer. They're offering great products, but really think about it before you pull that trigger. Thank you for spending some time with me today. I really appreciate it. If you have suggestions for other videos you'd like to see, by all means, recommend them down below. I would love to address them if I can. If you haven't subscribed to this channel and this is something you're interested in, I would genuinely appreciate your subscription. Throw a like in there too. That works well in the algorithms for sharing this information for other people who are looking for the same kind of content, answering these same kinds of questions. And as always, thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey as you go deeper into the world of coins and physical precious metals.